was a hypo, and I'm like, welcome, excuse me. Welcome into Two Capes. I'm Jared, and today we are going to be discussing Ed Brubaker's Captain America run and doing a little birthday Q&A. So, how is everyone today on this fine Thursday afternoon as we hang out? And dang, I am not prepared for today's stream as we hang out and discuss Captain America. So let us start off when it comes to the legendary Ed Brubaker run. A lot of people don't realize that the Winter Soldier is actually a relatively new character, because here's the thing. For decades, there were a bunch of comic book characters that died that can never come back under any circumstances. Stop me if these names sound familiar. Bucky Barnes, Jason Todd, and Uncle Ben. Now, here's the funny part. All three of these have come back in some form or fashion, whether or not that be multiverse shenanigans, whether or not that be like, what's the word? Like, obviously straight up resurrections or retcons. So, when you get Bucky Barnes, so his story was Cap goes to stop a missile. Bucky gets caught in the rocket, and the rocket explodes. So, what would eventually happen is it would be revealed that so you thought he died, but what actually happened is that his arm got blown off and he fell into the ocean. And then what happened is he got captured by Hydra, brainwashed, and then turned into an assassin that they would put in cryo when he's not on a mission, and then thaw when they have a mission for him. He also trained Black Widow, which means that's where you get the romance that I felt was like really dope between Bucky and Nat, and they kind of hinted at it in certain iterations of the MCU movies. But all in all, it's a really solid run, and I think it's one of those. See, the Ed Brubaker run, I kind of take it as like it's the George Perez for Captain America, and what I mean by that is that is the defining Captain America run, around which all other adaptations are based, because that's when they really like modernize Cap and make him less of the Boy Scout that everyone thought he was for so long. Because Cap has the same image problem as Superman. What I mean by that is essentially Superman has had this image problem where everyone sees him as like a Boy Scout, where everything goes right for him, and he's in favor and everyone prefers like the edgy characters over him. Obviously, now that's not necessarily true. Hey, what's up, Tavia? Yeah, thanks, man. But what Brubaker did is he kind of modernized and kind of edgied Cap into like he's still the Boy Scout-ish, but what he also is, he's not that total like, oh my gosh, everything's going to be good, gee Willikers character anymore, which I appreciate, because I feel like at a certain point, every character needs to be updated to a certain degree. Now, granted, people on Twitter may not like that, as I encounter every day as a Zack Snyder fan, but I mean, eventually they have to do that. But basically, him being a spy was so cool. Yeah, Tavia. Because here's the thing, and Tavia, you bring up a great point. What Brubaker did is he turned, to your point, all the Cap books around that area, and by Cap adjacent books, I mean him, Winter Soldier, and Black Widow, turned into straight up spy stories. Which, that's the way you do it. In fact, the MCU kind of copied this from him, where essentially the movies turned into like espionage movies, but with superheroes. And that's kind of what the Brubaker run kind of did, particularly when you get into like Winter Soldier and even the Winter Soldier comics that he wrote, where it's him and Nat going on spy stuff. And that was always really dope for me. And I also, the other part that was really cool about this is that when you get to the time period, the death of Captain America. Hey, what's up, Watcher? So what they did with this run is that post Civil War, Steve is like arrested and he's going up the steps to be tried. And what happens is he's shot by time bullets. Yes, you heard that correctly. Time bullets that send him back in time. Anyway, as far as the superhero community knew, Captain America was dead, and Iron Man felt yes, I am a Bucky fan too, Watcher. I love the Winter Soldier. I may have ordered a hot toy of him, but so to my point, so Iron Man felt a little responsible, well, majorly responsible. Hi, thank you, Sally girl. So what happened is Brubaker had like Iron Man have different heroes try out for Captain America, and then eventually he Bucky was like, no one else, I don't want anyone else carrying the shield because they're gonna sully Steve's memory. So that's where you get Bucky taking up the shield as Captain America. Ironically, also, this would also lead to Hawkeye becoming Ronin, because what's interesting, yes, Watcher, the MCU should have made Bucky Cap. So here's the interesting thing. So this run also led to Ronin becoming Hawkeye, because what's kind of interesting is, so they retcon that at a certain point, Steve was training Clint. And hey, what's up, Garatina? Thank you. So Steve was training Clint, and what happens is Clint is like, I just have my bow and arrow. That's all I need. And then essentially Steve goes, by the time I'm done with you, you won't need the bow and arrow is going to be the thing you're least known for. So what happens is that, thank you, Kirby. And so then what happens is, from that point, Clint goes, okay, to honor Steve's memory, I have to essentially, I'm going to do what Cap always wanted me to do. So, hey, thanks, Watcher. So what happens is, and you'll find I'm going to do a lot more Bucky content, because I think he's a Captain America character that doesn't get the attention he deserves. He's such a great character. So Hawkeye becomes Ronin. So that's kind of where that came from. So anyway, back to Captain America as Bucky. So what I like about this is, so one of the things that Iron Man does is, first off, Iron Man has like Doctor Strange and like these psychics go deep into Bucky's mind and eliminate all the Hydra programming. So there's no chance he's going to be activated like with the freight car code name thing they did in the movies. And then he said, as Captain America, you have to stay out of my way. And then Tony's like, okay. So Bucky became Captain America, and he was also Captain America with a gun, which I'm like, okay, I kind of dig that. And he restarted his relationship with Black Widow, because what you find out is, in the past, in Natasha's past, Bucky trained her, but they also fell in love. And then there's this great moment when, after Bucky like is in his apartment, he's training, and then Natasha goes, do you remember how much do you remember? And then Bucky goes, everything, and you were the best part of it. And I'm like, man, that's so cool. And so he became Captain America. He tried to lead the Avengers. He wasn't that good at it because he didn't like know any of these people. So there is that. But so eventually Steve comes back to life through time travel BS stuff. Long story. Actually, you know what? Screw it. So it happens that the time bullet actually quantum leaps Captain America. So he's jumping into his body at different time periods. So what Brubaker does, and this is the most BS come back to life thing ever, at a certain point in the timeline that Steve is jumping into, he goes to Vision and says, Vision, on this date, activate and tell the Avengers that I'm jumping through time. So all of a sudden, it's like in the modern day, Vision's like, oh, Captain America is jumping through time. And everyone's like, wait, what? And so Steve comes back to life, not before the Red Skull in takes over his body. Long story. Kind of a like, what's the word? Kind of a precursor to maybe Secret Empire. But anyway, so the two Caps fight, and then Steve is like brought back to life. Now you may be wondering what happened to Bucky Barnes. Well, he went back to being the Winter Soldier because at this point, the public had found out about his past as the Winter Soldier, and it was always like a source of controversy for this Captain America. What I liked about it is that it kind of gave Bucky a little bit of a redemption story for his time as the Winter Soldier. Like, he had to work to be he had to work at it to be Captain America and to be accepted as Cap. And that's always like a very compelling story that I really dug. And so then you get to he stays as the Winter Soldier. And what's cool about this, so you get this globe-trotting spy story. It's legit like a James Bond story. It is so dope. And it's just called Ed Brubaker, The Winter Soldier. It's probably collected in a few of his omnibuses. And he may even have an omnibus of just that. So what you discover is, so they're hunting down this dude that used to run the Red Room because he's reactivating the Winter Soldier program. They fight him. Natasha's captured and brainwashed. So Bucky has to fight his girlfriend, and then they break the mind control. And then it turns out Natasha's memories all came back to being an Avenger, except her memory of being with Bucky. So they do this great mirroring of the Winter Soldier when Cap goes, Bucky, and she goes, who the hell is Bucky? So James goes, Nat, it's Bucky. And then Nat goes, who the hell is Bucky? Here you go. And I'm like, oh, that's actually really dope. Yes, Tavia, Bucky was also Captain America during Secret Invasion. That's why it's kind of odd there. Watcher says, all Marvel MCU had to do was make Bucky a Captain America low budget film like John Wick, or Bucky hunts down the main headshots from Winter Soldier. That would have been dope, bro. Like, wow. Now, to be clear, I like Sam. And I honestly enjoyed Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I get why they skipped Bucky. I kind of wish they... Again, I would prefer if they went in order, because Bucky as Cap is honestly one of my favorite periods from the character period for all the reasons that I brought up, because it's one of the most... Because it's one of the most beautiful stories of redemption I have ever read. And Bucky has always also been, like, my second favorite Marvel character, my first being Captain America. So really it vacillates depending on if Bucky's Captain America, but he's always been like one of my favorites because I like the more spy stories. That's the thing I like about Marvel. Because yeah, DC I prefer over Marvel because I like all those gods amongst men stories, but I also like straight up military stories, and that's kind of what Captain America kind of leans into, rightly so, because it's one of those things that I'm like, if there's one like IP that you can do that with, Captain America works. I don't even realize you were live, not gonna lie. I was editing 2 videos and I went live on YouTube and found myself here. Oh, okay. Thanks. I'm glad you're here, Kirby. Honestly, personally for me, I think Bucky should stay as Captain America next to Steve Rogers. That would have been fun. You mean sharing the mantle? You could have done that. I think they actually tried to do that a few times, even in the recent stories where Sam, Bucky, and Steve went throughout the country trying to find the shield. It's okay. But anyway, so I'm going to get my Ed Brubaker trays to show you all. By the way, yes, I hung up the shield. So now it marks my little Marvel area. So give me 1 second. Let me see if I can do this without knocking everything down. All right, here we go. Most of my Captain America books are the Ed Brubaker run, as you can tell by how much of a fan I am of this. All right. So here's what I got. All right. So, okay, it's fine. So what I got is I have, and then is Ed Brubaker run? Yes, it is that one. I haven't read the story yet. I always love the cover. Yes, it is. I'm going to show you the omnibus for it and tell you what issues it collects so you can pick up those issues. So first, all right, so what we got here, obviously, Bucky comes back in the Winter Soldier. So this is the story where, thank you, Garatina. This is the story where he comes back as the Winter Soldier and they do that whole retcon. So this is the first thing. Then you get a few other stories. You get Prisoner of War, and this is when Bucky is captured in Siberia and Natasha saves him. You have No Escape, which again is a Bucky Captain America story where he's tracking the Red Skull. Then you have, hang on, let me see here. You have Captain America. I did Prisoner of War. But this is the Winter Soldier trade that I was talking about earlier. This is the straight up spy story. And so what they have here, they have the Death of Captain America omnibus, which collects issues 25 to 42. And this is the lead up to and like solidification of Barnes as Captain America. It's really, really, really dope. And then you get this one. So this is Captain America Lives, and this collects the rest of the run here, which is issues 43 to 50, 600 to 601 is in Captain America Reborn 1 through 6, and the Reborn prologue. I also have that. I also have Reborn as a trade, and that's the Steve comes back as Captain America. It collects that story. But this is the meat of the solo Bucky as Captain America story. So if you wanted to like get through like the story of Bucky Barnes as Captain America, it would be this one and this one. So this is the prologue and this and the beginning. And when people are like, "Hey, a new Captain America is here. Everything's gonna be okay," and then this is where the Winter Soldier becomes Captain America. It's a really dope story. It's one of the most like it's one of the most compelling stories of redemption I think Marvel has ever done. And I do agree with you, Watcher. I wish they did it as a like movie, because I think that would have been cool. I'm gonna put these back now. 1 second. All right. So what other questions do you guys have? Speaking of which, did that book have the tie-ins to that event? Oh, you mean did other books tie into that? I'm not sure. Let me check here, as a matter of fact. Thank you, Enzo. Enzo, that would have been a badass film. Yeah, because imagine Winter Soldier, the tone of Captain America, the Winter Soldier, but with Bucky as Cap. That would have been dope as hell. But anyways, let me see. Okay, so Death of Captain America tie-ins. So what they had... So obviously Civil War is the main book that would cover... That would be the prequel to Death of Captain America, obviously. Or an animated movie would have actually worked really well. They also have a novel by Larry Hama, so there is that. And let's see. I'm trying to see if it was ever like put in, if it ever had like tie-ins. Because I'm not seeing that much. I think it was just a limited series. Just imagine the fight scenes. Well, here's the thing. We had you know what's kind of funny about the MCU? They kind of tease Bucky being Cap by how many times they gave him the damn shield. And I'm like, just do it already. Even in Civil War, they're fighting when him and Steve are teaming up against Cap and they're like bouncing the shield off him. I'm like, just do it. That's what you want to do. I'm just like, oh god, come on, guys. Even better if they took the anime style from Avengers EMH, but for Black. I think for this story, Tevia, that animation style is a little kiddie. They could have done it for Avengers Assembled, I think, or just done like the. Actually, you know what they could have done? Just do the art style for the Ultimate Avengers movies. That's what you really could have worked with. And so that's really where you really could have done that. Yeah, teaming up against Iron Man. Yeah, that was like one of the best parts of the movie. But there's so many times when they give him the damn shield, and I'm like, if you're gonna give him if you're gonna make him Captain America, just do it. Yeah, they do go crazy about that because you have the group that's like that thinks that we want Bucky to be Cap because we don't want Steve to be Cap. Sam to be Cap because he's black. It's not about that. It's like if we're going in comic order, do actual Bucky becoming Cap because hey, maybe later we could do Sam as Cap, but maybe just do Bucky Barnes as Cap first because that was like a really compelling story. But I'm willing to see how it's gonna work out later on. So I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, people are a little too like, a little too sensitive about this. I find. Other question: they go crazy saying, "Oh, he's not a good man, though." Well, yeah, but no. Here's the thing. That's what a redemption story is for. As I said in the comic, Bucky is constantly trying to atone for his time as the Winter Soldier. They even did this in Falcon the Winter Soldier. So I'm like, dude, you could literally just do a redemption story where he tries to atone for his past by being Captain America. He's like, Steve saved me. Now that Steve is not around, I have to uphold his legacy. Tevia says, like, I love Sam as Captain America. He's really awesome. But and to be clear, again, I like Mackie. I like Falcon Winter Soldier. Short of like a few parts I felt were heavy-handed, but I really dug it. And I like Anthony Mackie a lot. I think he's very charismatic, and I dig him as an actor. And you know what? I think he could do great as Captain America. Personally, I would prefer Bucky, but all right, I can kind of see that. Him being Captain. Yes, exactly. Exactly. That's what you want to do. It's called a character arc. Here's the big problem I see a lot of times when it comes to like comic book fans, particularly as it relates to the movies. Tell me if you guys kind of agree on this or if you guys have noticed the same stuff. They seem to not be patient enough for a character arc. And what I mean by that is that even when you have Snyder's Superman or this, they're like, because I've seen people actually say this, they have to start off as the comic book part. Hey, what's up, Sam and Mystery Comics? Good to see you, dude. But I find that like a lot of comic book fans aren't willing to wait for the character arc to conclude. Whether or not to be Snyder's Superman, because they're always like, it has to start off as this version of the character. And I'm like, yeah, I get what you're saying. But when you're applying to movies and TV shows, here's what you guys have to understand. You have to stop thinking of this as comic book fans. You have to start thinking of this as general audience that aren't as into these characters as we are. Because obviously we're like, okay, they could start off in the middle and we'll be fine. But when you get to like the general audience person that probably doesn't even know who Bucky Barnes is, granted, that's probably more rare based upon the MCU. But my point is, just bearing with me. I need to stream today. Well, watch it. That's why I'm here. But what you need to do and understand that like the general audience is not going to start off. It's like part of the reason why Superman took so long to get relevant again is because they started, oh my gosh, he's automatically it's automatic by Sam. And I think that like the actor was taken out of context because I think what he was trying to say is you don't have to be an American to like Captain America, but fair enough, man. I see what you're saying. And yes, I am excited for Fantastic Four. But see, the thing is like part of the reason why Superman, part of the reason why Man of Steel is still a hit with the general audience is because what that does and this is my obligatory Zack Snyder reference, what that does is it breaks down to his fundamental core. Here's who Superman is. Then when you build him back up, you all of a sudden have an appreciation for who Superman is. That's called the character arc. That's why he goes through everything in the movies. With Bucky Barnes, what you eventually see is that he starts off as this like guy saying, I'm not worthy of having the shield. He even says this in the comic. He's like, I'm not the one that has to use the shield, that should have the shield. He only takes it because what's the word? Because Iron Man is going to give it to people that don't deserve it. So he's like, you're going to give it to someone who doesn't deserve it and spit on Steve's memory. I have to do it. So there you go. So that's the thing about the character arc. You have to wait for the character arc in order to get to those parts. But a lot of fans, I think, aren't very like patient. And that's honestly a big problem about that. And that's why they keep trying to skip a lot. And yes, Fantastic Four does look really dope. I'm really excited for that. But it's like, and plus it's one of the most like really annoying things. Yes, exactly, Tavia. I don't trust Iron Man to decide who should get Cap's shield. Because, yeah, that's not going to work out, that particularly after Civil War. Yes, Superman should be epic. Yeah, it could be. The movie could be epic. I'm not convinced because from what I've seen, the marketing freaking sucks. But we'll see. We'll see. But anyway, so what other questions or comments do you guys have before we go to our birthday Q&A? It's going to be amazing. Yeah, it could be great. So what other question or comments about Captain America, Bucky Barnes before we go to the birthday Q&A? Let's see what you guys got. Ask me a hard question about this one that a lesser man would not answer. DC needs to learn marketing for sure. Oh yeah, DC has always sucked at marketing stuff. But sometimes that marketing leads to really humorous moments, like in Crisis on Infinite Earths, the animated movie, when they call the Earth one Superman, the one that we followed since Man of Tomorrow, when they call him Superboy, implying that the one who's dating Wonder Woman, dating/married, we don't know, the one that's with Wonder Woman is Superman. By Cap 350 shows why Steve is Cap and find the Flag Smasher. Yeah, exactly. A question. Speaking of Captain America and his love interest, who's your favorite love interest for Captain America? Are we talking Steve or Bucky? You're gonna have to be a little more clear on that. I feel like Gunn is smart. He could come to Marvel right now and put True Just the American Way in the next trailer. He probably is, but that could get a little jingoistic and turn off a lot more people. I don't think you should weigh in on that stuff. If he was smart, but here's the thing, Watcher. If he were smart, he should have had a Super Bowl trailer, like a trailer in the Super Bowl. It's the most watched like event of the year. And you don't do a Super Bowl trailer. All you do is like a really cringe clip of like that. Okay, Steve Rogers, Sharon Carter. I think that's the best. Sharon Carter, I think, is good. And in terms of Bucky, yeah, Black Widow. And yes, Britt and I will probably end up doing a story, a comparison on that for Super Wonder Legacy, because that is like one of the like most compelling romance stories Marvel has ever done. Man, you can tell how that's quite the Freudian slip, huh? And then like heck, even the Flash movie exactly. Now, granted, the movie bombed, but that's more of the quality of the movie. You gave that movie the best chance it had to grow and endure, and you literally don't do it. That is egregious, honestly. I feel like if he brings that slogan, well, yeah, it's kind of funny. DC has kind of brought that slogan back if you pay attention, because in every other version of the character, they kind of do Truth, Justice, American Way. Even in Tom King's Wonder Woman or in the Super Sons movie, they literally have Superman say Truth, Justice, in the American Way. So I'm like, I see what you're doing there. So I think they're slowly bringing back. They're not going to make a big deal, a big post about going back to it, but I think they're just going back to it. I feel like they'll be opted out of the suit because of a budget. Yeah, but you can make that back. And plus, even with that, it shows they're not that committed, because if they were that committed to that movie, they would give it every chance to succeed, which would be giving it a Super Bowl trailer. Because you already, and you notice, even with the cringy Guy Gardner clip, have you noticed that the one character for the Superman movie that they're not doing anything with for the marketing is Superman? That's kind of confused. That's kind of concerning. Yes, exactly. The Super Sons movie did that, which I'm like, that's the first part where I was like, oh, really? That is really interesting there. I could go with that. Because I'm watching that. I'm watching the movie. I literally rewound the movie because I'm like, did I mishear that? Because I didn't know if that was happening. Hey, thanks, Pika. How you doing, brother? Which I'm curious if there's more archetypes for this movie, because I feel like they're wasting time. Yeah, if this is the movie that's supposed to start your cinematic universe and it's supposed to be, because if Superman doesn't work, the DCU is not going to work. So everything is riding on this movie, and you don't do like one of the smartest marketing moves. Like, let me put it this way: even people that were like watching, me personally, in my opinion, I feel like they're good to stick off. Okay, that's fine. I'm fine with that. I mean, I can understand that. So let's do a birthday Q&A, guys. So let's do this. So ask me any questions you want, preferably not too personal, but let's do this. I am at your disposal, ladies and gents. Any questions concerning comics, about me, about the channel, about anything you guys would like to know about, any burning questions you have ever had. It's your birthday. Happy birthday. Thank you, dude. Thank you, Sandman. Glad to have you here. Glad to have you here. So any questions you guys have had, you guys want to ask me, anything I've kind of that I've gone over in streams that you guys want. What are your plans for your birthday? So I'm going out with my mom, and then my parents are taking me to see a new Captain America movie. What's the oldest comic you own? Oh, God, that's a good question. I actually think that's a good. I think I have a '60s era Wonder Woman thing. I forget. Let me see. Yeah, I think I have this Wonder Woman issue here. Hang on. Let me see. Yes, I keep all my Superman and Wonder Woman comics together for obvious reasons. I think it's this, because this is from. So it's Wonder Woman and the Atom teaming up. I don't have any Golden Age comics because I'm not that rich. But we'll see. We'll see. Okay, there you go. All right, so let's see what other quick questions you have. What was your first hot toy purchase? All right, so this is cool. I actually technically, it was two. So it was the Zack Snyder's Justice League Batman with the Nightmare Batman, and the Henry Cavill Black Suit Superman. It came in a 2-pack. So there was that. That was my first Hot Toys purchase, and I've been addicted ever since. Hey, what's up, MSK? What was your first comic book character you got interested in? Okay, that would be that would probably be Superman, and then from Superman, I was like, because back before I was into comics, I was more of a movie guy, and then my dad showed me the Christopher Reeve Superman movie, and that kind of was like my gateway into these characters. Then obviously he showed me the Michael Keaton Batman movie, and that was like Superman and Batman. It wasn't until I saw Justice League Unlimited that I was like exposed to like the whole DC universe, and I was like, who is that guy with the green ring? Who's the girl with wings? Who's this Wonder Woman character? I really like her. Flash is just, yeah. Oldest indie comic. Oh God, what is that? I think I have like the first Wildcats or something. I bench press 204. Nice. Thank you. Let's see. Here's just a question. Who do you consider the lamest artist and nemesis of the Justice League heroes? Oh God, lamest. Condiment King, kind of. What was your first comic book movie? Oh God. It's either the Christopher Reeve Superman movie 1 or Michael Keaton's Batman 1. It's one of those two. I forget which one I saw first, but it's one of those two because that's like where it like blew up to the other characters. Just a tip: you can find really reasonable Golden Age books for $10 to $15 each, and DC did tons of reprints. Yeah, in terms of reprints, I do have Action 1 as a reprint, so there is that. Who's your favorite Spider-Man from the films? As Spider-Man or Peter Parker? Because we're talking Spider-Man, I like Andrew Garfield more because he did a lot more. Andrew Garfield or Tom Holland because of the quipping. In terms of Peter Parker, yeah, probably Toby of the two. Those would be my two. What other questions do you all have for moi? I am an open book within reason. Who's the worst arch nemesis of Wonder Woman and Spider-Man? Okay, there's a lot of ones. I would have to say, so the worst arch nemesis for Wonder Woman, I'm gonna have to say the worst one, the one that I don't like, Sovereign. Yeah, there you go. Captain America. Worst one for Captain America. I don't know that many Captain America rogues, and the ones I do know are pretty dope, so I'm gonna skip that one. Spider-Man. I'm gonna have to go with worst one. Big Wheel, I guess, is he one? I'll go with Big Wheel. Do you have a gateway comics you use to get you into? Okay, so in terms of gateway, what I always tell people, I always go, okay, here's what you got to do. You need to go with a team book like Justice League or Avengers, because what I consider that to be is the sampler. Because what you do with that, what you do with that is that you get to like get exposed to like a bunch of different heroes. Then once you figure out which hero you like, you can hyper focus on their books. Granted, you still have to worry about their continuity, but it's significantly less like big and imposing if you go with that. Sage says, talking about figures, is that Captain Rex in the back? Yes, it is. I'll get that. I have that as a hot toy. Hang on. This is Captain Rex from Clone Wars. I got the Clone Wars one so I can get the 237th helmet. So yeah, that's a Hot Toys Captain Rex. Screw it. I might as well pick this one up. I also have a Hot Toys Captain America from Avengers Endgame with Mjolnir and the shield. And then this one's really unique. What I have here is the Mark 21 Midas Iron Man, which is essentially an all gold Iron Man. So there is that. What other questions do you guys have? Which single issue would you love in your personal collection not to resell? Oh God, that's a good question. Because I have a lot of good ones. If you're talking any issue I would want, probably Action 1. I'm just saying, if I had the money, I would definitely pick up Action 1. But if I don't, All-Star 8 for a first appearance of Wonder Woman, probably go with that one. Because as you guys know, of late this year, Wonder Woman has grown to become my number one favorite superhero. So I kind of wanted to have that issue. It's either Action 1 or All-Star 1. I mean, All-Star 8, whichever one. What's your favorite comic I have in my personal collection? All right. So this is Superman Wonder Woman #1, graded at a 9.6, signed by Charles Sewell, the writer. This is my favorite thing I have in my collection. I picked that up 2 years ago for Christmas. All-Star 8 is getting up there. Yeah, I know it is. I know it is. If I ever have an opportunity to pick it up, I will definitely be picking that up. That is 100% sure. That is 100% sure. Favorite artist, you'll pick up a comic with their name on it. Jason Fabok, Jim Lee, Semper, unless it's written by Tom King. I would have to say Alex Ross. Who else? I would have to say Honestly, Ivan Reyes is pretty good. Those guys I consider as my impulse buy. Say shorts, assuming Wonder Woman is a cool run. Love the dynamic and yeah, exactly. My favorite scene of that is when Superman is fighting Apollo, the god of the sun, and Apollo blasts him with sunlight. And Superman goes, "You don't know that much about me, do you?" And then Apollo just Superman throws Apollo into the sun. So I'm like, okay, there you go. That was like one of the coolest moments in all of like comics there. Alex Ross can paint a piece of crap and still buy. Yeah, that's kind of true. That's kind of, he would make that pilot, he would make that turd look dynamic as hell. But there is that. There is that. Favorite writer you'll pick up any. Okay, that's a good one. Jeff Johns. Let's see, who else? That's Jeff Johns. Jeff Loeb, honestly, I would. Grant Morrison for the most part. Let's see who else. Meltzer. I would have to go with. I'm looking through my collection right now. Not really Wade, but Brian Hitch. I love his work. Francis Manapul, because he also he writes as well as draws. He wrote Flash, and he wrote like a couple of. I think he wrote 2 arcs for Trinity. By Trinity, I mean the actual Trinity, not the Demon Spawn daughter. Yes, it's the yeah, exactly. I was like, do you really think that's gonna work out for you, Apollo? And he goes, you don't know that much about me, and just throws him to a volcano. And I'm like, yeah, that's just why I love Superman. He literally goes, you don't know that much about me, do you? And then to cap it off, Sewell has Superman turn to Wonder Woman and go, before you say anything, I know you could have handled this. And then Wonder Woman goes, true, but I enjoyed watching it all the same. And I'm like, you didn't have to do that, dude. But it's just cherry on the top. Cherry on the top. It is that. It is just so solid the way that like Charles Sewell got it. In fact, if he Charles Sewell is another writer where if I see any of his stuff, I'll pick it up instantly. Or Jorge Jimenez, that's a good one. I like his stuff. It's very anime-y look, which I really like for that. But so what else do you guys? What else would you guys like to know about me? Any questions? Any questions that you guys have? Yeah, exactly. It is a great thing there, and I really like it. Again, it's one of my absolute favorite like runs for Superman and Wonder Woman because it just effectively like summarizes the characters perfectly. Do you read this week's DC? I'm not a DC versus vampires guy. This was like a take that against Tom King's Wonder Woman by portraying the vampire Wonder Woman as a better mother figure. Of course, of course. You know what's bad when DC versus vampires is telling you you're wrong. Favorite Elseworld story? That's a good question. Probably. Okay, Kingdom Come, New Frontier, Dark Knight Returns. That universe. I would have to say. It's another good one that I really enjoy. Dark Knights of Steel, I really like. Earth 2, if that counts. Actually, yeah, what am I talking about? It does count. It's an Elseworld story. Even Justice League The Last Ride, that's a dope Elseworld story, which I really dig. And Flashpoint, the comic, not the movie, because the movie is a character assassination on Wonder Woman. It really is. It really is. And it's just really annoying the way they always find new ways to character assassinate Wonder Woman throughout any of the stories that they have her show up in. It's getting to the point where I'm like, don't bring her in there. Don't forget Gotham by Gaslight's a good one, and Doom That Came to Gotham. By if you want to see, I actually had the director of those movies on my show like a while back. I had Sam Liu on my show, and he gave all the behind the scenes stuff on that. And I'll try to get Sam Liu back on again to talk about DC stuff. Deceased was fun. That's a good one. I really like Deceased because it's like the good thing about an Elseworld. I'll tell you what my least favorite Elseworld story is: Injustice. Because the thing about Injustice is that It's like a crappily made sweater. What I mean by that is that there's so many threads out there that if you pull on one thread, the entire story falls apart. And I'm like, okay, why did you make this so weak? It's like the funny part is when Grant Morrison goes, if Lois is killed, Superman's not gonna turn evil. What are you talking about? Red Sun is also really good. I love Red Sun. Animated movie was pretty good as well. So yes, I'll give you that. See, here's the thing about this. There's so many good DC Elseworld stories that when people bring up, well, this one's also good. And I'm like, God damn it. Yes, it also is good. There's so many good Elseworld stories for DC. Marvel as well, honestly. What other questions do you guys have about comics, games, movies, whatever you guys would like to know? Let's see what you guys got. Hey, for a comic based on a video game, it was okay. Yeah, but okay, Sam, that's true. The problem is I would be fine with it if they didn't like make it. They basically blamed Injustice just on Wonder Woman by saying she was the temptress, that she was the devil on Superman's shoulder that dragged him more toward evil, because in the past, like, Steve Trevor was a German soldier in World War II. I have to be careful. She and like he betrayed her, so she doesn't trust men, even though she served in the JSA and JLA. So I'm like, that doesn't work. They had little to work with. I know, but what they do with that little is where I have issues. Grant Morrison's point, the point that Lois Lane was never Superman's mother. Yeah, but it's still like when you lose someone close to you, you don't turn into a dictator. Sage Torres, have you ever read the Birds of Prey ones from the late 90s? Me, they're enjoyable. I want to. I definitely want to. If I find the trades out in the wild, I'll pick them up for sure. I definitely want to. By the way, been very much enjoying Invincible. I'm currently reading through all the comics right now, and yeah, it's a solid series. I love the animated adaptations, pretty much the comics. So there you go. But there's a lot of good stuff there. So it's what other questions do you guys have? Also, Grant Morrison ignores Wonder Woman and Sinestro's influence on corrupting Superman during those 5 years. Yeah, exactly. That's the problem. Wonder Woman corrupted him. I have it all collected. I will have to reread it. Didn't see Wonder Woman being what made him do it. He chose to. Yeah, but no, from that downhill, because if you watch Injustice 2, it implies that Wonder Woman was the one that like corrupted him. Because it's like that was like her fear and stuff throughout when she was exposed to the Scarecrow's fear toxin. And I'm like, come on. She literally even says, man's world needed to be subjugated. And I'm like, I got a dip. Love the Bucky Gap. I hope you enjoy the movie. I'd love to hear your review on it. Yep, sure. I'll give it. Questions. What's your favorite comic event you ever read? DC versus... Okay, favorite comic story, Darkseid War. Definitely Darkseid War. In terms of Marvel, Siege. Those ones are like both epic and like really, really, really dope. I'll go into more. I'll do reviews of those at a later date. But yeah, it's really, 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 really good. Which look would you want for the new DCU films? New 52 or Rebirth? New 52 for like a lot of the characters. Now, I want them to actually make it look good because Superman's suit is kind of going for a new 52-y look. The problem is they made it look crappy. That's the problem. Flash tried to make him see reason when they were playing chess. He didn't listen. Yeah, but there's a significant other portion of that. Plus, Wonder Woman, the minute she sees half the stuff he does, like kill Oliver, she should have talked him down and said, okay, you know what? This has gone way too far. The minute he kills Martian Manhunter, I'm like, Rebirth was fun until they tied into Watchmen. Rebirth was fun until they turned it into a screw you if you read the new 52 thing. That's when I was like, okay, I'm done with Rebirth. And that's honestly when I stopped reading comics for like 4 years. Question: least favorite comic book storyline? Anything from Rebirth, Superman, definitely. Marvel Secret Empire because of the stupid retcon it does. And then honestly, if we're talking modern storyline, Tom King Wonder Woman, absolutely. Just Tom King Tom King anything really. What else you guys got? Rebirth was time to watch him from the very beginning. Yeah, exactly. What hero or villain would you be based on your physique or personality? I would say personality Superman. I would say that. I'm not trying to make myself look very to over emphasize myself, but there is that. Harley Quinn being on the back. Yeah, exactly. That's the other part of Injustice that I'm like, what? Like Harley Quinn is welcomed and she helped the Metropolis get nuked. I'm like, what are you doing? What to quote Tim Hansen, what are you doing? Yeah. White Knight, Harley makes more sense than me. Yeah, because they separated the two. But Injustice just has Batman accept her, and I'm like, Jason Todd also died in this universe. She contributed to Jason Todd and the nuking of Metropolis, the event that literally made your best friend a dictator. So what are you doing? David says, yeah, I'll never understand that logic. Yeah, exactly. And yes, Harley flirting with Shazam. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm like, why did you do that? Why? There's literally no reason to do that. And I'm just like, this is kind of weird and kind of problematic, if I will. That's again one of the issues I have with that book is for every good part, there's like a bunch of really cringe slash arguably not only that, but also because White Knight Harley reverted back to being Harleen and undoing all the yeah, exactly. So they did a lot more stuff, but it's like the more they did a lot more stuff with that, but with Injustice, it's the Injustice. They also kind of doubled down, and I'm like, why would you do that? Favorite animated comic film? I'm gonna have my favorite Throne of Atlantis because it had a unbelievable soundtrack. Did Superman and Wonder Woman change the comic book storyline enough to make it unique, but also kept it consistent so you know what they're adapting. So I dig that. Speaking of Injustice, I just realized that. Yeah, well, they probably wanted to keep it simple because that's the thing, Tevi. You could say, "Where's this character? Where's this character?" But it's like they just need to keep it simple for the purpose of the story. Shazam is not the main focus of the story. That's why they didn't make it. That's why they didn't include those characters. Or watch, they make it so Batman so like Superman killed them or like threw them in the Phantom Zone, like they did with what I like to with the Teen Titans. Remember that? That's what they kind of did there, and I'm like, aha. Superman just kept going too far, and it got to the point where I was like, okay, wait a minute here. It got to it actually, it's kind of funny about Injustice. It kind of echoes my point with the boys, is that at a certain point, it seemed like they were trying to one up each other in how like cringy and arguably they could get. And that's where I started to like draw the line. I'm like, this is not good. Pika. As for Injustice Harley, it was a case of passive infiltration of Batman's side. By the time Batman had lost most of his allies, Harley was somehow still there, and Batman needed all the help he could get. Yeah, I get that, but still, it's like, why? It's, I still don't like it. It's still not good. I get it, but it's like, why would you accept her afterwards when you like lock up Superman and she's a member of the Bat family now? I'm like, that is just I really don't like that. It's one of those occasions where I'm like, stop trying to push Harley. I get it because Harley was really big at that point because of the first Suicide Squad movie. But okay, it's one of those. Here's the problem with the way DC pushed Harley post Suicide Squad. It's because they treated her like she's this, oh my gosh, great feminist icon stuff, which I get to a degree that is. But when you look into her comic book history of the stuff that she's done, I'm like, oh no. There is like, no. Like, she has killed children from New 52. Wonder Woman 3 storyline was incredible, showing Black Adam at his worst. And all the heroes there at their best. Yeah, that's dope. I like that. Who would you cast as Mara in place of Amber? Emilia Clarke. I'm just gonna tell you that, Emilia Clarke. That's one of the characters I think could solid work for who that is. I think so. What else you guys got? But Pika says Batman was also out of commission when Harley joined his side by having Black Canary vouch for her. Yeah, I guess, but still. Harley Quinn isn't a good person, but a villain. People keep forgetting that. Yeah, exactly. And I'm like, what are we doing here? It really got like annoying in that, and I was like, let's just stop. It got to the point where I was like, Harley Quinn has like arguably has almost as high of a kill count as Joker, and the fact that they try and make her a member of the Bat family, I'm like, if there's one family where she should not be, it's the member of the Bat family, based upon the fact that she helped Joker kill Todd, at least in the continuity I read. And I'm just like, oh, that really doesn't work. Yeah, I get. This is the problem when they try and push a character so hard that they push her in a way that's like, man, which character do you think was ruined or improved by their popularity? Ruined by their popularity, Harley Quinn. Improved by their popularity, any of the Avengers from the MCU, because they obviously got more attention and thus are more like mass market appeal, I guess. Salmon says, I don't understand her appeal just because she wears booty shorts. Come on, guys. I think the idea is that she broke away from the Joker and was able to like be an independent woman outside of him. But the problem with that, it misses the point of Harley Quinn, because Harley Quinn is supposed to be the example of what the Joker's manipulation can do to a person. And then the problem is she's not. I would argue that Harley Quinn, they pushed her so much that she kind of has experienced like, which was kind of my problem with DC pushing Batman so much, because I feel like they're going to fall into Batflation, as I call it. And it's going to lead to like people tuning out of Batman because there's so much Batman stuff. So when there's so much Harley Quinn stuff, people are like, okay, I'm done. It's like when they had the Batman Who Laughs, which is the Joker-fied Batman, and then he was in literally everything. And I'm like, guys, stop it. He doesn't need to be fighting Superman. He was cool for an event, and then you just pushed him so far. It is so bad. I'm just like, what are you doing? Favorite X-Man. That's a good one. It's a 3-way tie between Scott, Emma, and Logan. Scott because he's the leader, and I really like the arc they've kind of done with him. Wolverine because he's Wolverine, and Emma Frost because, again, I like redemption stories, and they do a solid redemption story for that. Harley Quinn has no purpose outside of Joker's sidekick. Exactly. Tevia says, question. Speaking of Marvel and DC, I'm curious about something. Outside of Injustice, how would you make a DC fighting game? Do what Injustice did, but not the story. Because you could have heroes versus super villains. That's what you could do, and just roll with that. Salmon says DC has been pushing Harley, Power Girl, Supergirl, all the sex symbols out recently, and not showing them as they should be. Wonder Woman 2. Yes, absolutely. Wonder Woman has been cool. Yes, it has. But Yeah, I'm like, what do you do? It's like when the highlight is Power Girl's boobs. That's a problem. Pika Shade says Batman Who Laughs could have been salvaged by just keeping him as a psychological horror villain. The moment they try to turn him the darkest. Yeah, exactly. Have you picked up any manga DC Marvel stories? I have. All right, so let me see. Where is the manga Batman story I have? Because I picked up one of them because I wanted to see like what the hoopla was about. I think it's somewhere here. It's the Justice Buster manga Batman story I have somewhere here. I'm trying to find it. Anyway, it's somewhere there. But I got the first volume of that one. Favorite team in DC or Marvel Comics? DC, it's the Justice League, and in terms of Marvel, either Avengers or the X-Men. Either of those ones. Either of those ones I like. Either of those ones. Let's see, what else? What other characters do we prefer? I mean, what other questions do you all have about DC, Marvel, whatever you guys want to know about? Let's see, what other? Superman Meshi Volume 2 and Wonder Woman going to sushi. Him and Wonder Woman going to sushi date. Ah! Okay. Have you noticed that whenever anyone outside of DC writes Superman and Wonder Woman, they're always a couple or going on dates? It's almost like those other groups of people are trying to tell us something. It's really hilarious because if you notice, all the Elseworlds or like other publishers, Superman and Wonder Woman characters are always together. It's really funny. Question: who is your favorite Superman storyline you have in your collection? Grant Morrison Action Comics, Birthright, American Alien. Honestly, is dope. Godfall. Is it called Last Son of Krypton, and Our Worlds at War. That's what I'm going to give you for that one because that storyline blew my mind in terms of like how epic and grand scale it could be. It's really dope. It's really dope. What else you guys got? What else you guys got for a good little stream for some questions about comics, video games, movies, whatever you guys would like to know the answer to? Any burning questions? Who would outlame each other, Lois Lane or Captain Cold? Captain Cold is not lame. If you're saying Steve Trevor, I would say it would be a lame tie, a lame duck tie. That's what it is. That's what I'm going to tell you there. It would be a lame duck tie because both characters suck. And honestly, it's gotten to the point where, what comic book storyline is overrated? Mine is, I like Hush. I think Hush is pretty good. In terms of like overrated storyline, that's a great question. Oh gosh, I would have to say Injustice, in my opinion. But if you're talking canon storyline, I'm gonna say probably. There's not a lot of storylines that I have that I think are overrated, but if I had to pick one, that's actually a tough one. Great question. Probably Super Sons. I'm gonna tell you that because I'm like, just stop. We know why John exists. Non-comic related, but still favorite Disney princess, the Alien Queen. That counts. That counts. Or, well, but seriously, that's a good question. Probably, I don't know, Ariel is Aquaman stuff. Speaking of Marvel and DC, not the Absolute Universe, Ultimate Universe is one you're in. Which book do you like most? Absolute Wonder Woman and Ultimate Spider-Man are my favorites. 100%. Those are the books I've followed the closest. Even though I only really read Ultimate Spider-Man, but I've kept up on like what the other Ultimate books are doing. But yeah, those are my favorite because they're both in the presence of like crappy runs. Which comic storyline is underrated for me is Scott Snyder's Justice League or Six Dimensions. Underrated? Yep, that's great. I like that. The ending was rewritten, so the higher ups got Kofi and Jason Todd. Yeah, exactly. There you go. I would say that because I think Hush would have had a better ending if it were Jason. That would have been really, really dope. What else you guys got? Pika Shades. I didn't like the Riddler part that he played and everything seems forced, kind of, but is that really outside of the Riddler's purview as a character? I don't really think so. That's why I'm like, okay, I can kind of dig with that. What other? Let's get a couple of final questions before I wrap up the stream, and then we can go our separate ways to the far winds. Let's see what else we got. And so Riddler made sense as the brains, but the anime movie upped the ante. Yeah, by making him Hush. And I was like, it's fine if he's manipulating everything from the background, but that just doesn't work. When he is actually the guy, I'm like, no. Question, speaking of video games, what's your favorite superhero video game from either Marvel or DC or a new IP? Marvel, I would have to say it's got to be Ultimate Alliance. DC, Justice League Heroes, because I get to play as all the different characters. And non-IP, if this counts, Darksiders. What would you do to fix the current Wonder Woman run? Step 1, kick Tom King off the book. Step 2, make it so Diana forgets this ever ignore everything else. Step 3, retcon Trinity to make her look like a construct by Cersei. Done. In other words, take everything that makes this run stick and then just toss it in the incinerator. And intentionally do it so. Like, if I were writing Wonder Woman, I would have Wonder Woman say, oh, there's that Sovereign character. He thought he was going to be my biggest villain. It's fat. Yeah. And I would make it where, like, well, what I would do, because editorial clearly doesn't pay attention, I would have a character ask, so Wonder Woman, how's your daughter? And then Diana would go, what daughter? That's the level of paying attention to this crappy run that I would give. Favorite Lantern Corps. Green. I'm basic like that. But if I had to go second favorite, Red Lanterns. I think they have Star Sapphires, because I like the pairing they have. And I also like Blue because they're like more of the support lantern. And they're like, they can augment other Lantern Corps around them. Even though their rings are individually weak, they augment the others by giving them hope. And I'm like, okay, that's really cool. Plus, I like with Star Sapphires, how they tie Hawkman and Hawkgirl to the creation of the Star Sapphires. And I'm like, that is actually a pretty dope retcon. I love that. That is actually a really cool reveal. Really love that. What other final questions do you guys have before we end the stream for the day? And then I can go do B-Day stuff. Question. Speaking of Green Lantern, how do you feel about Jeremy Adams? I love that. I love Jeremy Adams' Green Lantern book. I didn't read Grant Morrison's, but I love Jeremy Adams' Green Lantern. It's to the point where you can tell. Well, you can tell this guy understands Green Lantern, because he wrote the Green Lantern animated series. So I'm like, of course this guy understands the characters, and I just love the amount of love and attention that Adams puts into the Lanterns. And how it feels like a continuation of the Jeff Johns run. Granted, there are some things in the middle that, like, there are some things that happen there, but for the most part, it reads like you could read the Jeff Johns run, skip, and then go straight to the Jeremy Adams run. You ever seen the Dawn? Yes, I have. That was supposed to be Donna Troy, by the way. So the kind of idea was originally that Donna Troy was going to basically be the Cable of the DC universe, and she was going to travel back in time to like avert a catastrophe. And her backstory was she is the daughter of Superman and Wonder Woman, and that's why you have that design there. And I'm like, that would have actually been pretty cool. Instead of like she was created by the clay of Hippolyta, just do that. Just do that. That's all you got to do. Just do that. Or also with this current issue of him bringing back the ship from the Green Lantern animated series, I'm like, okay, that's dope. That is freaking dope. I love that. That is like one of the coolest like additions, or like not really additions, but callbacks. I think it's really cool. Yeah, there's like a ridiculous amount of really, really good of like really good stuff coming from Green Lantern, and they've always given Green Lantern some pretty solid like stories and arcs and stuff, probably, and they seem very like, what's the word? Very like protective of Green Lantern, which I definitely do. Now we need Aya. We're almost there. But anyway, so I think that's a good place to leave it. Thank you guys for showing up and making this a fantastic birthday stream, and I hope to see you guys tomorrow for. Actually tomorrow's Friday. Well, tomorrow's CLD, so we're gonna be doing that tomorrow. Also, I'm gonna be doing the members only panel for CLD. It's gonna be like a couple of hours before when I normally do CLD, so it'll probably be like 8 or 9 o'clock. And it's going to be a members-only panel. So if you want to hop on the panel, consider becoming a member at like any tier. I don't really hold it. And we're going to be talking about all the comic book news, all the geek news of the time. Maybe I'll give a Captain America review. And for Super Wonder Legacy, Britt and I are going to be discussing how each of the couples that we compared Superman and Wonder Woman to will be like, how they would spend a Valentine's Day date. Movie night, we're doing DC Superhero Girls Mayhem in the Multiverse. And for Wonder Woman Wednesday, I'm thinking of doing a top 10 list of her top costumes, but we'll see on that. So stay heroic, everyone. Remember, Lois Lane is Lois Lane. She belongs to General Zod. And Steve Trevor is Steve Never. He belongs 6 feet in the ground. Zoe is the Max About for life. I'll see you later. Bye-bye.